Welcome, Battle Brothers. I'm the Epic Narrator. Today, we're going to do something positive. In the last episode, I discussed what GW could improve on. The link to those episodes are above. But today, let's highlight a faction that, in my opinion, GW has got right. The Genestealer hybrids. Straight off the bat, I just love these models. If you're here to hear me be negative, I'm afraid there's not going to be much of that today. And while you are here, why not like and subscribe to the chapter where we discuss more 40k content. Now, I have a sprue of these guys just waiting for me to glue and paint back home. Unfortunately, due to Nurgle's blight, I'm not going to be able to get there for a while, so I'm going to have to wait. So let's start with the Genestealer Acolytes and Neophyte Hybrids. Now, I just love these guys. Here, we can see a clear example of GW just doing everything right. Gone are the excessive dangly bits and pointless purity seals. And what we have here is utilitarian genius. When I think of hybrids, this is exactly what I see in my mind's eye. I mean, to me, they just ooze history. I can see those past influences, and I can see how they've mingled with the present to create the perfect form that we see in front of us today. We say goodbye to the awkward, orcish looking hybrids that I grew up with and still have a great fondness for, and we say hello to this beauty. When I look at these guys, I just see possibilities. Necromunda, anyone? I mean, the weapon choices feel right. We've just got auto guns and a selection of what looks like equipment, and that makes sense. It looks like these guys have just escaped from the mines and are ready to do the world a mischief. There are so many different colour schemes you could play around with here, making your own brood. I just can't say it enough. I just think these are amazing. But I do think a £50 price tag is a bit of a sore point, but in the current day, I suppose with GW, that's what we're looking at. And if we're honest, they've never been cheap anyway, have they? And how about these Brew Brothers? Essentially, they're just a GW sanctioned kit bash, but this is an example of less is more. It makes sense in the lore that the Brood has infiltrated the Planetary Defence Force, and in some cases just is the Planetary Defence Force. Now, I'm not a fan of the paint job that GW have chosen to highlight on the website here, but it doesn't take too much to just see the possibilities that you could have with these guys. A quick Google search will show you what's out there in regards to alternative paint schemes and just how good these guys can look straight out of the box without too much effort. I'm going to shove the Metamorphs and also the Icon Wards in with the previous guys, because let's face it, they're pretty much the same, aren't they? And how about these vehicles? I think they just look great. They've got a kind of rugged Mad Max look to them, and you know, the best thing is that they actually seem to have some practicality about them. The only one that you could point to and say, oh look, maybe that's a little bit too much, would be the Goliath with the drills and stuff on the front. But even then, I can still imagine it having a real life function. If we look at the drills on the front of this and compare it to the drills on the Centurions, which one looks like it would have a real life aspect or real life use? I'll let you decide that. Now, this Goliath truck, I mean, I just love the crew members hanging off the back. Kind of reminds me of the old battle wagons, the old first edition, so the old Rogue Trader and the old second edition Orc battle wagons. But maybe my favourite is the quad bike. I mean, how cool is that? What an absolute legend. He turns up to battle in the 41st millennium. There's land raiders, there's predators, and he's got his bloody quad bike, and he's on the top of there launching dynamite off it. I mean, that is just sublime. These scramblers are okay. You know, I can imagine them being a lot of people's favourites. For me, yeah, they're okay. Again, it's all about that quad bike though. This Jackal Alfarius, again, okay. Is it me, or is this hybrid a little bit feminine? Is it a girl? Is it not? Does it matter? I don't know. Next, we've got the Brood Coven, which is great, apart from the Patriarch or the Brood Lord itself, which we'll come to in a minute. I mean, I love this Magus. Another nod back to the Maguses and the models of old. I feel these familiars are quite cool. I like the one with the little skull. Almost looks like he's going to be practicing the Hamlet or something like that. Well, yeah, that's quite a terrifying thought, isn't it? A Genestealer practicing the Hamlet. But anyway, so the Patriarch itself, I'm sorry, I'm just not a big fan. I don't like how he's perched on that pipe, just to kind of make him look a bit bigger and make him have a bit more presence. Why not just make the actual Genestealer itself bigger instead of perching it on that pipe? The older models were huge, obese, nasty looking things. The coolest of the Patriarchs being that one that sits on the throne. If I had this Patriarch, I'm afraid I'd have to do some converting here, cut that pipe off, make it, beef it up a little bit, and then it'd be fine. The Clamiverse, if that's even how you say it, and the Nexos look cool, especially that Nexos. I mean, looking at his holo map, every good sci-fi and every good sort of 80s sci-fi needs a holo map, let's be honest here. And it looks great with the model. The only problem that I can see, this is a general problem that I think with all of these ornate bases, is that when you're on the battlefield, if your battlefield is a woodland area, why is this guy looking at buildings and stuff? Well, I suppose when the Imperium finds out that there's a Genestealer infestation, the housing bubble on this planet's probably going to burst, right? So I suppose maybe now is the best time to buy. Actually, now thinking about it, the more I look at him, the more state agency he gets, eh? Or the Americans would say, realtor. This female Magus looks amazing, but she does come off a little bit like the Bride of Ming. Paint her up red and gold, and you know, you've got a Flash Gordon model here pretty much, haven't you? The Locust, I think as well, is pretty cool. It could double up as a Magus as well, but I do have one small problem with the Locust, and I think you can all guess what it is. What is that stuck to his leg? That's right, he's got a ton of purity seals and a ton of toilet paper or writing stuck to him pointlessly, blowing in the wind. I don't know why he would have that, and you know, just because he doesn't move around, it doesn't give you the excuse to go up and stick a load of post-it notes to his knee, does it, lads? The Aberrants and the Abominant are fine. I quite like the Aberrant strutting down the road with a road sign. I mean, I like how they've just left that sort of lump of concrete at one end. I mean, has anyone ever seen what it looks like, you know, when you push over a sign or like a bus stop or something like that? That is it, or a phone box. That's exactly what it looks like. But something that does nag me a little bit about these models is that maybe they look a little bit less Genestealer and maybe a little bit more chaos. Is it just me? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Killamorph, yeah, that's fine. I like its old-timey 6-shooters, but to be honest, just like the previous rank and file guys, he doesn't stand out too much, let's be honest here, right? And for me, that's not a bad thing. This Biophagus, he looks suitably diabolical. They really caught the mad scientist vibe with this one. There is excessive detail on this guy, but this is excessive detail that I like, because he's a more interesting model. You know, he's not just the standard rank and file mini. So I love the little test tubes and the syringes. I mean, it looks really wild. I'm a little bit less swoonful on his familiar though. And the main reason for that is that he's got that annoying puff of smoke coming out of the jar. Now, that isn't something that some clippers and a needle file won't fix though. So for me, good detail, 5 figures, you get a thumbs up. Now, there are only 2 downsides, I think, in this entire range. One of them is not the model, it's just the sheer laziness of it. Now, I'm sorry, but this is just a standard Imperial Sentinel, right? That is really lazy on GW's part there. I mean, what, they can't even give you a spare head to swap out and put like a Brood Brother in there or something? Come on, Games Workshop, that is pretty cheap and pretty naughty of you to do. The other model I'm not a fan on is this guy here, the Sanctus. Now, I can imagine there are going to be a lot of people who really like him and maybe he's their favourite, and I understand why, but for me, he feels just like a Skaven or maybe a Dark Eldar model. He's got this exaggerated stance, which you know I'm not a big fan of. And I think the sculptor has been playing a bit too much Assassin's Creed before he made this guy. The little mini Genestealer just doesn't sit right with me either. Why is it just perched there on the pipe like some sort of pet monkey or something? You know, was he just sitting there waiting for the assassin boy to jump down? Just a little bit too much in my opinion. And something doesn't sit right with those 3 targeters in the middle of his face. Just looks a bit goofy. Perhaps it's the paint job, I don't know, but this one, Sanctus, sorry mate, thumbs down from me. Let's conclude and finish on a high. All in all, great lineup. Genestealer cults were neglected for so long by GW. I never understood why either. I mean, I'd always thought that the lore about them was so cool, and I'm happy to see that they did eventually resurrect this dead faction, and they've done such a good job with it as well. For me, they tick all of the boxes. Now I know this, because just doing this review, I am resisting the urge not to buy a couple of Goliaths. And if I buy a couple of Goliaths, well, I need just a couple of hybrids to go with it, and if I've got a couple of hybrids, then I'm going to need a magus. Now you see what I'm saying, don't you? That's why we call this stuff plastic crack. That is the end, Battle Brothers. Did you agree with my opinions in this review? What do you think of these Genestealer cult models? Why don't you let me know in the comments below? And if you haven't done so already, it's a good idea to subscribe to the chapter so you don't miss any future episodes. We have much more 40k content on the channel and coming this way as well. So until next time, Battle Brothers, may the Emperor protect you through Nurgle's blood.